Hi, I'm Sarah Sumbrum. I'm the Artistic Director of Dance Cleveland, and today I am joined by Yaron Kohlberg, who is President of Piano Cleveland.
Hi, Sarah. Good to be here.
Hi. So we are so excited to partner with Piano Cleveland on this special upcoming engagement of Limon Dance Company. When the company approached me about doing Waldstein Sonata, they said, we could do it with recorded music, or if you have someone that you know that could play piano live, let us know. And I immediately thought of Piano Cleveland, and how lucky we are to have you in our community. And I was so thankful that you agreed to play personally for this piece. So I wanted to just first of all thank you for that. I wanted to ask a few questions. I am not a musician myself. I do not play piano, so I know no knowledge of this. But I wanted to get a little bit of an understanding about the piece itself. What is the significance of Waldstein Sonata? What is the musical selection? And is this a piece that like you typically would learn while you're studying piano growing up? Give us a little bit of insight on that.
Yeah, so the Waldstein Sonata by Beethoven is actually one of his most famous pieces for piano. Beethoven, as you probably, probably everybody knows who Beethoven is. He is one of the most significant composer in the classical period, which he lived between the 1770 and 1827. And the Waldstein Sonata was composed sort of like in the middle of his life. Usually in his composing periods, we have like his early period, the middle period, and the late period. And the
Okay.
middle period is sort of when he wrote pieces such as the Fifth Symphony and stuff like that. Is really when his style is really sort of at his very, very like core, and some would even say at his best.
Hmm.
So the Waldstein Sonata is the 21st sonata out of 32.
Wow.
And this is a piece that is often being played by a lot of pianists, especially if like a sort of like a more advanced age. You study it. I mean, the professional pianists that go and study piano in academies and stuff like that, they study this piece relatively later. I mean, it's rare to see somebody who's very young who plays this piece, just because of the demand of what it demands from the pianist. You really need to have full pianistic control to be able to play this piece. It is technically very, very demanding. There are all sort of like things that are introduced that requires very agile, flexible fingers.
Mhm.
There are three movements to this piece. The piece is written in the classical sonata form. We're not gonna, as somebody who's not familiar with that, we're not gonna get into the detail of it, but it
You'll keep
basically
it simple for me, thanks.
it basically means that there in the first movement that there are two major themes, the first and the second. Then there's some kind of a development, and then a repetition in the second part of the first movement, and then there's a second slower movement and a third movement, which is usually a little bit faster. In this case, it is sort of like I would say like medium speed, but it includes also a lot of very, very virtuosic, and is a very special movement. In which Beethoven asks for the pianist to use the pedal all the way through a relatively long phrase at the beginning, which creates a
Hmm.
very, very beautiful and special atmosphere.
Hmm.
So this is in very, very short. Of course, you can dig into much more detail with that, but hope it's not too much.
No, that's
Uh, but
great.
uh, but it's a very, very beautiful piece, and one that is often played. And I think that anybody who's a little bit familiar with piano music probably will recognize it.
Well, we're really excited that for this particular performance, we're going to have the Limon dancers on stage, but we're also going to have you on stage. I know we originally had talked about maybe the piano being in the pit or, more hidden, but I felt like we really wanted to highlight the fact that you are going to be playing alongside the dancers. When you think about playing for live dance, how does that affect your process as you're, working on the piece and rehearsing it? And also, when you think about the fact that you're going to be on stage with the dancers right next to you, does that change anything you do about the practicing process? I guess.
So, first of all, I mean, I expect it to be. I mean, I played with dancers before. I grew up in a school in Jerusalem, which was a music and dance school. So I did a couple of things with dancers. throughout, when I was growing up, and I'm a big fan of dance generally. But I didn't really get to perform in such a with dancers on such a stage. I usually perform as soloist, of course. So this is going to be a slightly new experience for me, I would say. Of course, I mean, I viewed the performance and I really look forward to the collaboration with the dancers. It's going to be a very interesting experience because on one hand, of course, I will try to do my best performing the piece as it is and as I would perform it in a solo concert otherwise. And this is a piece that I performed last time maybe 15 years ago, so there's a lot of work that has to be done on my part in order to do the best I can, and at the same time, of course, to collaborate together with the dancers. And I mean, it's such an amazing dance group, and I hope that the fact that such amazing stuff is happening right next to me is not going to distract me from playing the piece. But other than that, I just expect it to be a very exciting experience.
Yeah, I think it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be really special to have kind of that, renowned dance company on stage, but also, yourself are such a renowned pianist, and we're just so lucky to have you here in our community that it just felt like the perfect pairing. Great. Well, let's see. How have you approached practicing for this piece?
So practicing for this piece, again, I focused more on my part, and the collaboration with the dancers is something that you can, I can view the video, I can mentally prepare for it, and of course, a lot of it is going to happen during the rehearsals. So when I practice this piece, it really requires for me to be in great shape, great performance shape, because it's a very, very demanding piece, as I said. So it requires there are a lot of scales generally in Beethoven's music. Scale is basically like notes, several notes, like C, D, E, so forth, like coming one after the other, usually in very big speed. So it requires for me to be able to play these scales relatively at ease and in good rhythm. So this is something that I practice daily and put a special emphasis on now. And then, of course, running this piece for in several opportunities, either for myself or for a group of friends, or some people, of course, to prepare for the great performance. This is sort of something that I do usually before preparing for a larger scale performance such as this one. So it's just a great experience. I'm very grateful to be able to do that.
Now, I was talking to the dance company last week, and Dante Paleo, the artistic director there, was saying how when they perform with live music, for the dancers, it really gives this added element of suspense almost, because every pianist, of course, it's the same music, but every pianist has their own way of playing it, just ever so slightly. So he was saying there's a section of the dance, for example, that I guess there's kind of a brief pause, and then another note comes out, and the dancers are supposed to do a step right on that note as the note comes off. So he said it's always suspenseful, like, how long of a pause is there going to be left by the pianist? So I'm really excited to see that. And I think all of us can experience that together, because the way it's done between you and the company will never be able to be repeated again. So I think that's really kind of unique and special. Well, for those who still need tickets, we do have a piano code, so you can use the word piano for $5 off. And that'll give you a discount to tickets, and you just go to dancecleveland.org. Of course, the performance is going to be April 22nd at 7:30 at Playhouse Square. And Yaron, is there any last minute thoughts that you have that you want to leave audiences with? What do you hope that they will take away from seeing live piano on stage along with dance?
Yeah, so as you just mentioned, there's each time that there's a live performance, there's sort of like there's a moment that is being created and it cannot be repeated. And I think in this case, it's times two, because it's both for the music and for the dance, and also actually when we think about it, for the connection between the two. So I think this is going to be really a very, very special opportunity to hear these two wonderful arts, the great choreography and the great piece by Beethoven that is going to be performed, really sort of like come together, and that include, in addition to the other pieces that are going to be the other things that are going to be performed during the evening. I expect it to be a very interesting evening, and I think it's a privilege to have the Limon Dance Company come here. So I'm sure that everybody who's going to come is going to enjoy it greatly.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, and we look forward to next week.
Thank you very much, Sarah. I look forward to it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.